I think that's the type of work we're definitely looking forward to continue, and that it's so important in Puerto Rico since the hurricane, since before. That's the present and the future. So definitely, thank you for your work, and I truly believe that as close as we can get to heroes and youth that really represent the best out of who we are as people in the country, as how diversity unites us, that's the definition. So thank you for your service. So my name is Jose Rivera. I'm founder and director of the National Puerto Rican Students Coalition. And first, I would like to, since we were just having some panelists, and it was wonderful. I want to, get some conversations going. And I would like to, let's see, what about you, ma'am? What's your perspective about like the youth right now, and how you view the youth? No. And do you think we're going in the right direction, or what's going on?
Absolutely. I think that the program is enlightening to the students. I think it's a great experience. I'm the mother of Kiara Simone, considering the fact that she had never been to the island and how it impacted her amongst the rest of them, because she would FaceTime me every day and give me a daily report of what was going on in Puerto Rico. It's actually very humanitarian for everyone. So it's very impactful to them in helping others and knowing what they're going through and bringing that back to New York. So I think it's a great program for everyone, and I think it should continue. Especially for those who didn't have the experience, and they can see what it is to help others, and especially that Puerto Rico, they're so resilient, so strong, and they become one when when Maria impacted the island and in other circumstances. I think it's great.
Well, thank you for that. That's definitely, that makes a huge difference. So our coalition is a student-led young initiative. Mostly, we're organizing Puerto Rican student and young communities from around the nation. We believe that the youth is extremely important as the talent pipeline, as for who we are, the future of our communities at the local, state, and national levels. And so we basically started as just an idea. It was not until the last Diaspora Summit, which was like back in May of 2000, I think it was 18, if I'm not incorrect. And Edwin actually approached me. He was like, we have this initiative we're thinking about creating a national movement, Puerto Rican students, Puerto Rican youth. We have to get the students, the youth engaged in what our current leadership is doing. We see people that have a whole bunch of experience and that are obviously transitioning into that period in their life where they have to, give their space and their leadership to other people. So definitely, they want to be supportive with their mentorship, with their guidance, with everything, so that we can see how our youth can be stepping the ladder and actually take those big leadership roles in the future. So the question originally was, okay, so how do we build this? How do we, create a concept where we're effective? And so I come from a background where I started a Puerto Rican Student Association, and what a PRSA, that's how we call it, is an official club or student organization in a university. So let's say, for example, CUNY may have student organizations, and they're recognized within the institution as official. So they can receive funding, they can research spaces, they can engage with the faculty, engage with the community, they can bring everyone together. So that's what I did in Orlando, Florida, in the University of Central Florida. I started the Puerto Rican Student Association over there. And as we know, Orlando is actually, there's some debates between New York and Orlando as of how we're doing in terms of population, but definitely, right now, Florida became the #1 state of Puerto Rican population, mostly led by the Orlando Kissimmee region. So it was a matter of, okay, so this is the main institution here in the region. We need, the youth to get engaged. We need the youth to take leadership, and we need to create that pipeline of talent for the future. So then, that was kind of a case study that, I started building, and then, I started to meet so many wonderful other young, talented leaders. And so I have the pleasure to have a lot of them here with me. If some of you could come forward, Orosmar, Sofia, Angelica. So originally we were just with an idea, it was an idea of organizing the PRSAs throughout the nation. There's a lot of universities that actually have PRSAs, but that they were not connected, they were not united. So the idea was target them locally, which is within their universities, united those PRSAs within their states, and then create this national concept. And so here with us, we have basically a national representation of young Puerto Rican leaders who can showcase their work they're doing within their communities, their state, and how they're being engaged in this national movement. So if you want to just introduce yourself and tell about your role and the work you're doing.
Hi everyone, my name is Orosmar Cuevas. I am part of the New York chapter of the National Puerto Rican Student Coalition. Right now we're just kind of engaging more schools. So I went to Queens College, and there wasn't a PRSA at all, which is the Puerto Rican Student Association, and I didn't find much support within for Puerto Ricans at my school. So I had to go out there and find it. Did that with Centro, and I wound up meeting them. So that's what I'm doing now, just trying to connect schools. So we were better meeting, better with Brooklyn College, NYU, and we're making it happen.
Hello everyone, my name is Sophia. I'm a recent graduate from the College of St. Rose. I'm also part of the New York chapter. I'm the regional liaison, so I connect with the national board and with my New York chapter, and we are doing a great job to mobilize schools right now. Right now it's mostly about outreach and spreading the word about what we're doing, what our coalition is all about, who we're trying to connect with, and making sure that they know that it's not just about Florida or Puerto Rico or New York, it's all of us together. We're all uniting, and we all want to show that the youth is present, that we're doing work and we're here activos. So.
Hi, I'm Angelo Quiñones. I'm a junior at University of Puerto Rico, Mayagüez. I'm joining the Puerto Rico chapter in December while I finish my exchange program at UMass Amherst. So I haven't done much work yet, but hopefully when I get back to Puerto Rico, I will do whatever I can to continue the effort of the coalition.
Hi, my name is Karian Santiago Ruiz. I'm a senior at the University of UMass Amherst. I'm majoring in public health. And right now I'm the regional liaison for the New England chapter of NPRC, and currently we're focusing on reaching out to the acting PRSAs at the universities around us, and also reaching out to the community as well, particularly the community in Holyoke, which is one of the third largest Puerto Rican populations here in the state, and see how we can do the same outreach that we and Centro has done out here.
Hi, my name is Angelica Martinez Miro. I'm from Puerto Rico, a recent graduate from University of Puerto Rico. Right now, I'm the national liaison of the National Puerto Rican Student in Puerto Rico. I'm the one who's communicating with the board. And right now, Puerto Rico is starting. We're trying to create a relationship between from the island to right over here, because we want to work together and evaluate the resources that we have to help each other in two ways. So basically, we're starting right now, and we're in that phase. So.
Hola, I'm Ricardo Vergel. I'm a student at American University in Washington, D.C. I'm majoring in international studies. I'm working with MPRC as regional liaison for the DMV region, as well as Washington, Maryland, Virginia. And we're currently working on reaching out and communicating with all the PRSAs that are already established in the region. I work with the Puerto Rican Student Organization at American University. And we're communicating with PRSAs, Hopkins, UEA, et cetera. So we're currently building up relationships in the region.
And my name is Jose Mendez. I'm the communications coordinator for the Center for Puerto Rican Studies and the communications director for the New York chapter of the National Puerto Rican Student Coalition. It's been an amazing experience. I am Puerto Rican, but growing up, I never really felt connected to my culture through a long series of reasons. But during the past couple of years, after Maria, after working at this amazing job at this organization, I truly feel connected, and this is my opportunity, my way to really do something for Puerto Rico and the island and the diaspora.
Well, thank you so much all for take a quick picture here, get in front of you.
Come on, give us a love. Thank you.
Mama.
Un aplauso. Más
Well, thank you all for introducing yourself and showcasing your awesome leadership. Just wanted for you all to see faces of the work that's being done and the amazing leaders we have. You know, the Service Corps is definitely an amazing way of serving, giving back to the community. And so, how do we structure our work? What's our mission and vision? That's what I want to get to know. So what we do is we're mostly a network-based partnership type of coalition. We're more how you would say Chamber of Commerce kind of concept, where you just network, engage, you know, meet people, and that way becomes a catalyst of work. So we would, you know, want to reach out to organizations such as the Service Corps, where we can say, okay, we have this pool of network of people we can reach out to, and how we can engage them in this amazing projects. You know, and it's that type of leadership within different organizations that comes up to collaborate, to work together, and to serve not only Puerto Rico, but our communities and here in the mainland and in the world, because every work that we do is significant, life-changing, and it changes, improves our whole holistic well-being. So let me get a little bit more details of the work we do as the National Puerto Rican Student Coalition. So we identified that within the structures of universities, a lot of time we actually have also what's called student government associations, and we believe that it's super important that Puerto Ricans actually get elected into those positions, because most of the times they actually approve funding. You know, they evaluate the appointments that are being done at the executive levels of the universities, and also the type of disbursement allocations of funds that are being done in terms of, for example, programming, you know. So, I mean, that's essential, having that type of voice within that type of power. And so obviously what I said about the PRSAs, that's essential, because that's how we organize, we discuss topics. You know, we plan, let's say we want to do a trip for Puerto Rico, we want to collaborate with Service Corps. You know, that's how we get the people into, you know, the movement. And so, you know, basically we try to participate as much as we can in this type of events, where we can engage with senior leaders that actually come from very established organizations that can mentor us, that can, you know, provide us resources, and that we can, you know, work together. Obviously, as a national entity, you know, we recognize that we have partners in different areas, and we at the national organization might not engage necessarily in all events, but we have our regional partners and local partners who are actually the ones that engage. So that's the broad perspective. I'm just going to go a little bit more in terms of imagery and picturing the work we do. So this is kind of a map where we picture all the PRSAs, which are different universities. For example, in Orlando, that's UCF, USF, UF, FSU. So that's kind of the idea all over the nation. If you take a look, we all actually have a greater concentration here in the Northeast, which is obviously New York, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, Connecticut. And so that's kind of the trend we're seeing, and you know, we're seeing now some more organizing within the Chicago area, which is really interesting. And so the concept is the following. We have the students. I want to use the work that is being done in DC. For example, we have Ricardo. Ricardo is a member of the executive board, which is the leadership of a PRSA. It's called the Puerto Rican Student Organization at American University in DC. And so what they're doing is they're reaching out to other PRSAs in Johns Hopkins, in Georgetown, and some others within the DMV, which is DC, Maryland, Virginia area. And right now they're actually collaborating with Centro to have that youth voice and the summit that is going to go on in November over there. So it's how we engage strategically in those type of conversations, actions that we're taking. And we're not just within a region, but we're getting the youth engaged all over the nation. So that's kind of the big picture. We also have some articles that we've been featured in, from CNN Español to like universities and then Nuevo Dia. We wanted to go more into the actual imagery of what are the PRSAs and the type of universities. So right now, currently, I did some of the count. We have about 31 PRSAs identified throughout the nation, which is a pretty significant number. There's mostly a concentration within, I would say, the northeast. Now it's expanding a little bit more northwest, and there's some in Florida as well. And so I want to showcase kind of how we're looking. We have 5 organizations in Florida, which are this 5 right here, and we also partner with it's called the UCF Puerto Rico Research Hub, and it was recently established in Orlando, Florida, and it's actually one of the main partners of Centro, where they host the summits in Orlando. And so it's how we engage also the youth in research, and how we develop ourselves as, when we publish, we get our names as the authors, and that's super important because that leverages your prestige as a member of your community, as the work you're doing, and when you go to an employer, where you go to other cohorts, they respect you. They see the type of work that you as a representative of your community is doing. So that's essential when you're building yourself as a young person and becoming more of a professional adult. We believe that's core of the work we do. You have to partner with, it's like a statewide Hispanic initiative, kind of a similar concept to what we do, but it's mostly Hispanic based. And they also work a lot of lobbying and public policy within Tallahassee, which is the state capital of Florida, to kind of also advocate for the issues of our community. So here in New York, we actually have our main partners in terms of New York. It's an interesting state in the sense that we don't actually have all that many PRSAs. We have organizations that are Puerto Rican led, but are not necessarily within the concept of PRSAs. So different states model their kind of chapters in different ways. Because at the end of the day, what we want is just engage the youth, be unifying and take as much action as possible. So we have this main universities. Also, we have obviously Centro, which has been our #1 partner in all the projects and the driver of basically all the success we've had. It's definitely the success we've had together has been the success for our whole community and the communities locally, statewide, nationally. So we have a few more. We actually have MIT, Harvard, the big universities as well, and then American University, that's Ricardo over there with their great work. And what we've done is actually, if you clicked into the page, you're going to be directed to their social media. So if you at any time want to get in contact with the organization, whatever, you can definitely follow their work, not only follow it, but contact them through messages. So the idea is having a platform where it's easy to engage and you can be interactive in the way we do our organizing work. And then we also have some partners in Puerto Rico which do some local work, and we try to reach out and do some community service work. And definitely, you know, as we meet more people, that for example, the work that the service corps is doing, that would definitely, you know, would want to lead into a conversation where we can work together and have that type of engagement. And then we also have some more potential partners, which are some organizations that we haven't engaged that much in different universities, but we, you know, are within our network and we definitely want to engage more. And it was really interesting because this was pretty recent, in Massachusetts, Boston University, they actually had a PRSA a lot of years ago, and this happens. They were inactive and they reemerged. So this is really important in the work we do, because we want to make sure that we, as young also that have some experience, mentor of how to maintain a PRSA, because we want to make sure that it's consistent, you know, that it's not, you know, for 1 year and then, you know, disappears, because, you know, the time that it takes to go through all the paperwork and the process and the organizing is difficult. And then Harvard actually has 2 organizations, which is really interesting. They have the graduate level and then also the undergraduate. And so we actually have Garian here, who we've had some conversations because we want to start our blog, and you know we want to feature some of the stories of the people, you know, of our youth, you know, kind of ideas we want to share, what, you know, the work we're doing with our community. So it's something that is work in progress, and our platform works in the sense that we want to be a place where you can put your talents into action. You know, we want to be as inclusive as we can, and so what do you want to do, and then how we as an organization can make us fit for you to do your work, you know? Because sometimes you feel like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, but you're like overwhelmed because you don't know how to start, you don't feel like as empowered, and what we try is to empower, you know, people within the most basic grassroots level, so that we can, as a group, work together and be successful. And then these are some of the events we've done. All of our work has, you know, been thanks to Centro, mostly. This event we did in Florida, it was kind of our first event, and it was groundbreaking because what we did is we united the 5 organizations in the state of Florida that had never been done before. We brought it into the same place, and we actually, you know, discussed the ideas, how our PRSAs were doing, how we could collaborate and work together. And then, you know, we took it at the national level thanks to Centro, and we were able to then create kind of that organizing by state. That's where we all met, and, you know, we've been having such an amazing, talented team of leaders throughout the nation that it's just, for me, you know, I never thought that we were going to be as proactive as we're being, so it's definitely very satisfying to see the work. And then we also had an encuentro in Puerto Rico, which was incredible because, for example, Orosmar for the first time was able to travel to Puerto Rico, and the same as, you know, I know you guys, you know, that was incredible, and seeing that level of satisfaction, you know, your roots, and then being able to, and yeah, we've been, you know, just collaborating as much as possible. So the only last thing would be if you all would follow and get engaged with our social media. That would be awesome. And then, you know, you could also follow. We try to share as much as possible the work that our PRSAs are doing throughout the nation. And then you can also get engaged and follow them as well. So yeah, and before actually we want to do a second part, but are there any immediate questions, any remarks?
I'm just wondering, how much are you guys doing with your alumni? Because college, the problem is it's a 4-year thing. So as you are starting this new wave, have you been able to get these groups to go back to people that don't know that this is happening? Because someone that graduated even a year ago might not know what all they're doing now. So is that part of the agenda going forward?
So what we're trying to do is, at least from the vision we've discussed, is how, because the idea is, even though you're young and you want to maintain your roots in maybe your universities or the work you're doing mostly within young communities, you also want to transition to getting that youth engaged in more established organizations. So challenging how we connect those young members of the community who are transitioning into adulthood to other more established, and they can also be taking some leadership positions, taking responsibility, and that type of work. I believe Ricardo wants to.
For example, in our region, what we've been doing is, for example, the UPR Alumni Alliance, the leadership are, some of them are located in DC, so we're trying to connect them with them. But also in our own universities, we're talking with the Latino Alliance in order to like present the programs that we have and the communities that we have and our work. So it's also something, the work that we're doing. So within the PRSA, we're contacting their own alumni alliance in our universities to present it.
I would like to know if there is anything going on to capture the students that are in high school, to try to get them before they even get into, because there's so much energy, so much resource, and a lot of them don't even make it to college. And I, was wondering if something could be done to harness that.
Yeah, definitely. We've been mostly effective in doing that, I would say, in Puerto Rico, not so much in the mainland. We're working on that in the mainland, seeing how within our schools here, we can actually be developing that pipeline. But in Puerto Rico, what we did is we mentored with, we partnered with this organization which is Mentor Boricua. So what they do is we have others like Kinesis and other organizations and based in Puerto Rico who they try to train and mentor high school students that are considering or dreaming of going into the States and having that experience. And what we do is we identify leaders within the universities here in the States, and we try to connect them with the young students in high school in Puerto Rico, who can then see, okay, so this is the process of getting admitted, because it's not easy. And definitely, we want to encourage them to go to college, and if they have the dream of maybe coming over here and getting that education exposure, we also want to obviously support them as much as possible.
Have you established a 501c3 status for your organization? And if so, are you getting funding, or how do you manage the operations?
So it's completely volunteer-based. How we've basically been able to do the work we've done is thanks to our partners. Each individual partner has their resources, and they've been so amazingly supportive of wanting to give to the youth so that we can, grow as youth and be able to give back as well in the future. So that's been our main. We're a non-profit, but it's just registered. We're not like, in terms of funding, we don't receive any funding, so it's all volunteer-based.
So I was going to answer about the high school question, which is the perfect question, so I'm going to move on to my second question, which was, you continue mentioning the community, but I didn't see in your partnership communities that were outside the university, so I'm trying to understand how you partner with communities to bring youth, because they might be communities out there that might be interested in partnering with you, or whether it's because they're Puerto Ricans, or it could be Latino of any other country. And that might bring more partnership, but also more awareness outside the community, where sometimes if you don't belong to an organization or a community and it's not out there, youth or even adults could be wanting to get involved, but they're not, because they're not informed. So how you partner with the community, and who do you have outside universities partnership with you?
So basically, I would say the best answer is work in progress. Like, let's say our model right now of what you're talking is New York. New York is very unique in its way that it's organized and how where the youth is concentrated. For example, because we saw like big universities which are not necessarily representative of our community, like Cornell, Syracuse, or NYU. So we want to definitely be as inclusive as engaging, but it's not easy in the sense that we started a year ago. And building a movement in a year is not easy. So what we did is we went targeted to the PRSAs, which are just already organized structures, and we believe that was the most effective and efficient way of actually building the movement, and then we can actually branch out and be more, building different concepts of how we're actually doing our work. And so that's the model we're working on right now, and I think Angelica also has.
Going to add from Puerto Rico, for example, we have a partnership with Mendes Puerto Rican National Unidad Común outside of university. So right now we're working towards that, creating relationship between them, and then also provide them with different in the states. So yes, we're not only considering university at all, we're also evaluating and expand exactly. For example, in my case, I just recently graduated. So I will work with the universities too, but also outside, how can the youth can work towards the different objectives that they have in Puerto Rico, for example, in my case. So that's what we work.
And just going forward, you all might consider upward bound programs at some of these schools that are working with this, housed in a university but work with high school students.
First of all, congratulations on doing a great job. Surrounded our speed app when Antonia Pantoja first started it. And that might be a way to get to the high school students, some sort of link or partnership with them. More concretely, I'm curious, have you any idea how many students from Puerto Rico who came during the aftermath of the storm wound up staying here at the schools? Like, I know you did work at your university to facilitate the students coming in and getting in-state tuition for them, and that happened in a number of states around the country. Have you any idea the numbers, how many decided to permanently stay? Because that was one of the fears of the bureaucrats at the University of Puerto Rico, that they didn't cooperate with a lot of these programs because they were afraid of losing students, and rightly so. Do you have any idea of the numbers?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't tell you really the numbers specifically. I know at UCF, at least I was working. UCF was the #1 institution to receive the most displaced students from Hurricane Maria, but definitely in New York here we had a lot of displaced students. I know CUNY, SUNY, and I know NYU had like a brief program, it wasn't too long. But in the state of Florida, at least, we did receive the highest number in Orlando, obviously, because most people have families in Orlando, so it was like, let's consider that school. I would say there's a few, at least from my personal experience, I know of a few that have actually returned, because so what we identified is that the financial burden was the driving factor, but a little bit after the aftermath, the second highest factor was the emotional shock, and it wasn't just cultural, it wasn't just the family or the transition, but it was all about, okay, so I transitioned over here, but I may have lose some credits. I was originally going to graduate at this date, but then the strike happened, and then the hurricane happened, and now I don't see myself graduating anytime soon. So that type of mental situation has actually played a big factor of how our students have actually faced a lot of challenges, and I believe probably Gabriela, right, can give you also a better perspective, what type of difficulties you faced.
Definitely, what you just said is pretty accurate. I do think it would be a great.
Can you speak up a little bit?
When he described the emotional and mental anguish that came with also adapting to wherever it was that you were displaced to, I think he very accurately described it, and I also think it would be a great idea to somehow calculate that number, because many days I have wondered, where are maybe other people that were displaced here in New York. At least in John Jay, I have not been able to connect with anybody that was displaced by Maria, but being here and hearing about the work that you guys are doing, gives me hope and gets me excited. And that's actually, I was going to reach out to you after the workshop to see how we can bring this to John Jay, because we do have a Latin American Students Association, and yeah, I think that's the closest thing we have. We don't have a Puerto Rican Students Association, so I would definitely like to somehow bring this to John Jay.
John Jay College?
John Jay College,
Very
yes.
good, so maybe I can.
Yes. We'll talk.
So did that kind of answer your question, sir?
Yeah.
No. Any,
If I may. Okay, una pregunta, mi nombre es Elizabeth. There's so much I could say, so let me try to focus. Right now, that I'm very proud of the youth, and I'd like to work in the sense of plural, because we have to work with solidarity throughout. We have a big project for all of us. But one of the suggestions, if I may, because I think when I go to these forums and activity, at the end, if we're going to come together, we come up with certain suggestions, correct? And respectfully, if I may, some suggestion is, the most important, that I was in Wednesday, previous Wednesday, to meet the congressman. I went to Washington, D.C. And it was well organized with another community, of the Puerto Rican community in Washington, D.C., and also from people from New York City. And I believe there's another date, which I think is October 28th, and I think reflects on this agenda here. And if you may be interested to go to Washington, D.C., which will be a priority to speak to our representatives, is very important, especially if you have the youth that are there, if they can, because it's a task, coming from Washington, D.C., I mean from Florida, okay, to New York City. However, if you're in Orlando, you can speak to your governors or your representatives there too, and come together to find out who are those representatives, to let them know that we're serious and we're moving forward, and with the solidarity to the youth and as well as our adults. A second suggestion is that we have another mention to the peers here, that we're very proud of you. We're like, my goodness, I'm saying, wow, wait, look at these youth. We're proud of you. But however, a suggestion that we have other seniors and other knowledgeable people, I don't like the word older, I'm going to find another word, the gorgeous people, whatever, ladies, or the handsome men, that be in solidarity to you, letting you know that you're by yourself and we're coming in force, and with solidarity. And what we're going to be doing is the intelligence. So if you can create that too, it's a good idea. And I think the last one too is that I'm very concerned, and I think we're all kind of concerned, what are we going to do with those Puerto Ricans in Puerto Rico? Okay? Because when I went to Puerto Rico, I back and forth, and I was born in Puerto Rico. So there's a difference of the Puerto Ricans who never been to Puerto Ricans in New York, they've never been to Puerto Rico, and the Puerto Ricans have never been, I've been to both, I'm like this. So I'm in the middle. So when I go to the middle, my town, the Guayama, Brujita, I'm trying to say, what can we do to deal with the Puerto Ricans and Puerto Ricans? So maybe a suggestion, because this is a big assignment, I'm very proud of everyone, I repeat, is that maybe the youth in Puerto Rico, that they could establish for cada pueblo, and I think there's 72 or 75 pueblos, where you could have the youth, a suggestion just to see, we're sharing, I don't have every answer, where the youth could be involved. Because, like I said, we have a very good foundation. Let me inform you, we're doing real good. When I go to Orchard Beach, and I have to say, and I see people from Mexico, from, Mexico, Colombia, and they're with us. They're dancing with us.
Can I jump in? Hi, I'm Mariposa.
Pardon me,
I'm a poet.
Excuse me.
No, I just wanted to jump in because I know we're running out of time. I just want to say what we can do to support them is follow them. I just followed you on Instagram. They need followers. Go to Instagram, follow them, and to promote what you're doing. I just want to know how I can support you. I'm a poet. I'm an activist, and I think that what we saw this summer with the Boricua Summer, we know that our young people are at the forefront. I am a elder. I'm a young elder. I also teach at Lehman and City College, so I'm a faculty member of CUNY. I serve as cultural coordinator for CUNY Service Corps Puerto Rico, and I just want to, because I know we're ending, but what we can do to support the young people of Puerto Rico, specifically Vieques, and I have the Vieques flag on me. There's something 100% of the young people of Vieques has tested positive for heavy metal contamination. And right now there is legislation that already moved through the House of Representatives. It's the AOC amendment And what's being decided now is, and what we need for our representatives and what your network, because the potential of this is really, really powerful. So I just commend you, I want to thank you, and we need to do whatever we can to strengthen this as a network, as a force, as a movement, because potentially what we could do on the diaspora level with Puerto Rican students is, it's I don't know what the word is right now, but the potential to mobilize is what I think is one of the things that I find so inspiring about it. And if you could use your network to urge all of the members of the PRSA to reach out to their members of Congress and urge them, and right now this is happening within the next few days, to keep the amendment inside of, I'm sorry, I'm looking for it. It will provide $10 million, which is like crumbs compared to the money that's going into the National Defense Authorization Act. But the $10 million will provide closed detonation chambers in the military cleanup of the contamination in Vieques, Puerto Rico. And AOC introduced this amendment into this legislation that already moved through the House. There's a committee that's meeting right now, a conference in the Senate that's meeting, and it's just to keep that $10 million in. What Jennifer Gonzalez, the resident commissioner, wants is for funding to go into more studies, to study what the impact, what the environmental impact has been on the people, when we know that this decontamination, which is further contamination, it's just the continuing of bombing under the guise of cleanup, is sickening the population, especially the young people. So as an activist, that's one of the most exciting things that I find about what you can do and what you can further. And I'm available too. Invite me to your school, Mariposa Fernandez, no nací en Puerto Rico nació en mí, it's my most famous home. I will come to
Well, she had the most powerful question to end, actually. 3 ways you could get engaged. First, as she said, social media is essential. The key for youth and engagement is all social media. That's how we engage the most. That's one. Second, our power is our local and state organizers and leaders, which are them, and that's definitely the best way. If you're here in New York, and what a better way to give back and to unite your community and be a mentor and be inclusive, because honestly, the arts, and which we had some engagement with Melinda and the Culture Ambassadors Program, that's such a core and essential part of how we express ourselves and we picture our heritage, our culture. So that's something we could definitely explore. So, the power is at the local and state level. So that I would say. And then third is we're planning to organize an Encuentro 2020, which is bringing people from around the nation, as we did, young leaders to Puerto Rico. We're aiming to fly people from the U.S. to Puerto Rico for all of us to gather to do community service. So hopefully, that community service part, we can work in collaboration with Service Corps and our peers here, and hopefully, get some guidance on how to do that work. And we're working with Centro for this project, but we need everyone's support. So if you know an organization or anyone that could give mentorship, could give any type of resources or support, that would be awesome, so that we could see this Encuentro 2020, Summer 2020 happening. So thank you all for your time.